Good evening, subscribers. Today I wanted to talk about the duality of the mainstream media. There's not one mainstream media. There's a misconception that there's this mainstream media, it's pro-Western, it's made up of, Canadian, U.S., and European, news networks that drive the agenda on the globe. And that is so fucking false. It's ridiculous that somehow let me tell you, there's two parts of mainstream media, or it's made up of two sectors. There's the pro-democracy, pro-Western, pro-Europe, pro-NATO, or basically there's the Western alliance part of mainstream media. And, we typically support, all those things I listed earlier, like NATO, the European Union. We support Australia, Israel, Canada, you name it, all the typical Western clubs and countries. Then there's the much larger mainstream media, which is the Eastern faction. They support countries like China, Russia, Iran, Syria, Gaddafi's Libya, Belarus, Cuba. But see, the difference is, in Western countries, there's tens of thousands of news outlets, from newspapers to blogs, websites, YouTube channels, TV channels, satellite channels, etc. All opinions are welcome. We have very radical left people, very radical right people. Anyone can be critical of the government. In fact, half the country is, for every president that's in office. And, it's called freedom of the press. You can't get jailed for criticizing someone. You can't get beaten by the police for, damn near to death for protesting, unless you're doing something stupid like, throwing Molotov cocktails and destroying property. You can write whatever you want about whatever you want. In Russia and China and, Iran, Syria, Cuba, Venezuela, there is none of that. It's state-owned media. They control everything. China and North Korea are probably the worst. They will kill you. In the U.S., how I said, you'll get beaten up if you're being a violent protester. Over there, you'll be standing there with a fucking sign and you'll get knocked out by a Kazakh with a metal pole. And then they'll drag your ass behind a building, handcuff you to a tree, and beat you some more just for being at the protest. These countries, they have complete lockdown, a total monopoly on media. They do not allow outside voices. China has banned, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. They don't have a communist or a Chinese Communist Party YouTube channel that's big, because they know not many Chinese are on YouTube. So, in these countries, let's look at their populations. And I didn't even do North Korea. I know there's tens of millions there. But China, 1.42 billion, Russia, 144, you go down. Basically, they total out to about a population of 2 billion people. These countries that are or have state-owned media. This isn't even all of them. This doesn't even include all the authoritarian and totalitarian African countries that have a complete monopoly on media, like Eritrea, Angola. So total, this is just a few African countries, and these are just the mainstream, Eastern Bloc countries that, align with Russia and the UN and that are talked about in the media. So them plus a few African countries, it's 2,133.2 million. 2.1 billion if you want to round it up. They have that's just a few countries, probably less than half of the list that aligns with Russia and China and state-owned media. Let's look at the difference in, outreach. These are YouTube channels down here. Everyone complains that Fox News, CNN, the New York Times, BBC, ABC, the Washington Post, Canadian CBC, and they're just mainstream. Everyone watches them. Here's their subscriber count in 2019. Fox 2.6, yada yada yada. There we got Euronews. There's two German channels. There's DW Documentary and DW News. Together, they have 1 million subscribers. You add up all the subscribers of all the mainstream media YouTube channels in the West. We got everything from Europe to Germany to Canada. We got Australia in there. The British BBC. We got right-wing America, left-wing America, and we got, all the biggest channels. It comes out to 16.7 million subscribers. Now let's look over here. Here is just a list of just a few, or most of the biggest Russian state-owned media channels. Most of this is just RT. And there's Russia 24, Russia 1, and NTV. Look at their subscriber count. Just RT alone is 8.9 million. Just Russian state-owned media alone is, basically 19 million subscribers. More than all of major Western mainstream media combined subscriber count. So, and then, you add in Al Jazeera, 3.1, you're already at 22 million subscribers. About 6 million more than us in the West. So when you hear them talking about mainstream media, they talk to you as if there's one mainstream media, which is Western or pro-Western mainstream media. So when you're debating RT bots, you always have to see if they realize there are two forms of mainstream media. The side that supports the West or the side that supports China, Russia, Iran, Venezuela, North Korea, Libya, Belarus, Cuba, Nicaragua, Pakistan, Syria, etc. So first, see if they even know that there's mainstream media is made up of two parts, and then you have to ask them if they realize that the mainstream media for the East, for the Kremlin, for Beijing, their subscriber count, their subscriber outreach on the open free internet is way bigger than all the mainstream media in the West. And this isn't including, Pakistan's, military governed or military ran propaganda of, Pakistan almost has 200 million people. This isn't including a lot of the anti-Western channels in India. This does not include most authoritarian African countries. This, only includes one Central Asian country, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, all the stands in the middle, they're all complete totalitarian states with state-owned media. And this is what we're dealing with. That's all I wanted to say today is no, there are two forms of mainstream media, and that the pro-Putin, pro-Eastern, pro-anti-West camp is way larger in population outreach, in subscriber count on the uncensored internet that the globe uses. It's way bigger. So when people talk about mainstream media, make sure that they know they're far worse